Hey, what is up guys? I'm KBHD here. Welcome to 2017. And every year has some type of trend that all the big smartphones that get released that year tend to follow, whether it's material related or battery related or headphone jack related. So I was thinking about what this would be the year of, what 2017 would be, and the first thing that came to my mind was dual cameras. Most of the top smartphones all the way down have adopted at some point during this year dual cameras, with a couple notable exceptions like Galaxy S8 from earlier this year, all the Motorola stuff, and likely Pixel 2 later this year. But everything else, Galaxy Note 8, iPhone 8, new phones from new companies, new phones from old companies, dual cameras were everywhere in smartphones this year. But something interesting is they all did it for a slightly different variety of purposes. iPhone, for example, did one normal lens and one 2x optical zoom lens, so a portrait lens, but also great for zooming in. LG G6 did one normal lens, one super wide angle zoom, so a landscape lens, but also, great for some fun fisheye effects. Essential Phone was one that had a normal camera and one monochrome camera for enhanced detail in every shot, but also great black and white photos if you want. And so all these different methods of utilizing dual cameras in the back of a smartphone have been spread across these manufacturers for the past year or two. But what we're really seeing is this year, 2017, is the year of the disappearing bezels. It's every single smartphone that we've looked forward to during the course of this year has had a minimization of the bezels in some point. And even the ones we're looking forward to for later this year, smaller bezels. And to be fair, they've all done that in slightly different ways over the past couple months. As many people are willing to point out, no phone is truly completely bezel-less. There are things that you need to put on the front of a phone, so the front-facing camera, the proximity sensor, the ambient light sensor, some display drivers, etc. So as everyone minimizes the bezel, they all have to decide what to do with those couple of things that have to stay on the front of the phone. And it's been really interesting to watch. The Essential Phone that's just starting to ship has crunched the earpiece, speaker, and notification LED way up in the top sliver of the phone and used a cutout of the top of the display for the front-facing camera and sensors. The bottom chin is just for the display drivers. LG G6 and Galaxy S8 and even Samsung's Note took a more even approach of having symmetrical slim bezels where they put all the front-facing stuff and the speakers and sensors up at the top, and they match that size with the bottom bezel, but they have almost zero side bezels. And then you have phones like the Xiaomi Mi Mix from a couple months ago with that incredible floating display look. They chose a piezoelectric speaker vibrating the frame instead of a standard earpiece, and they moved all the front-facing sensors to the bottom chin. So this thing has truly zero top and side bezels and got a lot of attention for it. So all that has gotten us here, and I've said this before, cheap phones are getting good, and good phones are getting cheap. This phone that landed here a couple days ago, the Doogee phone? The Doogee Mix. This thing is a $200 budget smartphone that emulates a more premium flagship look in a lot of those key ways, including the smaller bezels on the front and the dual cameras on the back. It also happens to have an octa-core chip and 6 gigs of RAM, so it's gunning hard out of nowhere for budget smartphone of the year, which is really impressive. I think it falls short in the places where you can tell they're cutting corners though. Obviously, no USB Type-C, no wireless charging, no waterproof, but mostly just generally missing a lot of the fit and finish, the premium touches that make flagships so nice to hold. This thing helps us see the difference, honestly, between a low-budget bezel-less looking phone and a super high-end bezel-less phone. At the core of it, this has the exact same shape and silhouette look as another bezel-less phone like the Essential, for example. But when you take a closer look, you turn the display on, it really still does have a pretty decent sized side bezel and top bezel. I mean, the display doesn't really reach all the way up into the corners like you'd expect. And the spots all the way around the phone where the display glass meets the body and the back glass meets the side, it's a bit sharper. It's actually rounded a little bit, which is great. But when you take Samsung's new flagships, for example, the rounded edges of the glass practically melt over into the side rails of the body and then back over into the back glass again. So it makes a big difference when holding it in the hand. It didn't always used to be like that. I remember the Galaxy S7 Edge was really sharp around the edges, and that didn't go very well, but that's the kind of thing you're getting for the price now. Still though, this phone, this Doogee Mix for $200 has been really impressive, and if you can get past the pretty cartoonish skin on top of Android, it is actually worth a look, and I'll drop a link below if you're into it. But look, The more I look into it, the more I realize the real reason why this is the year of the disappearing bezels in smartphones is because that has had an effect that nothing else has had on the entire history of smartphones, and they're doing something they've never done in the past decade, which is getting smaller. The main benefit of shrinking the bezels around the display is to shrink the body size and shrink the footprint of the smartphone. So these are handheld devices, and that matters a lot for usability, being able to reach the corners, fitting the thing in your pocket, etc. This is the first year we're actually expected to see a flagship iPhone that's smaller in every dimension than the previous year, but with a bigger display. That's why it's special. So I just wanted to articulate that on video. And for the holiday rush of smartphones we're about to see, Galaxy Note 8, and then LG V30, iPhone 8, Google Pixel 2, keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for the shrinking, disappearing top, bottom, and side bezels. And enjoy it, because we have no idea what's next. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.